I have two creatures in me all the time. I wrote this in my journal the other day of like, I have one creature that's like, I don't know. And then there's this pure chaos machine creature that will come in and shove that one out of the way and do things that feel extremely risky. And that's how almost everything that I've accomplished has had some element of the bucket kicker. I call her the bucket kicker. She will just come in and be like, "We're doing it!" Like, don't think, just go. And like, not all of them are, you know, great decisions or even really well thought through. But I think that analysis paralysis kills us all, you know. And so sometimes it's nice to have a bucket kicker living in the amygdala.
They said that we'd grow out of it. Well, the joke's on them, that's just our brains. We're eccentric, loud, and stubborn. And most of our clothing is covered in stains. It's not a deficit of attention. There's just too much to think about. So if executive dysfunction becomes a little too much, if you forgot why you came in this room, or you're hypersensitive to touch, then put on your seamless socks and come join our little flock. Bitches stimming together, we're weirds of a feather. Weirds of a feather.
Okay, welcome back to Weirds of a Feather, an AuDHD-Adjacent podcast. I'm your host, Grace Bray, and I will be joined in a minute with my co-host, Kristen Stanhope, and our guest, Tori, who is joining us virtually to talk about AuDHD, among many other things. If you heard at the end of part 1 of Tori's episode, we only planned to do one episode and talk for an hour, and then we inevitably got chit-chatting and ended up talking for 2 hours. So I decided to split these up into 2 episodes since we have so much content. And so we didn't record 2 intros and 2 outros. So here I am by myself in the stewed doing it myself. So yeah, I guess we'll get right to it. And here is part 2 of Tori's episode. And now, and go.
So I will walk across the whole city. I will walk. There was one walk. Grace, should I introduce the car accident now? Because I have a great.
Yes, because I do want to get to the car accident because that is like the main topic that I did want to talk about is that Tori was in a really bad car accident. And we were talking about, you know, how traumatic brain injuries impact your ADHD and autism traits. Yeah, kick it off.
Okay, so where this goes, the car. So in April, I was in a very intense car accident, and it was I was in a car on the highway, and I was a passenger, and another car hit us, and it was quite a bit bigger than our car, and the way that they hit us caused us to flip while we were going, you know, 70 on the highway. So we flipped 1.25 times, and the car was 2008, which is before the like legal cutoff for curtain airbags, which was the airbags on the sides, like on the car on the side windows. So we didn't have curtain airbags, which we didn't know were a thing until now. And so basically my head got washing machined against the metal door jamb of the car and the ceiling of the car as we flipped. And so did Justin's, but he was awake and like bracing himself. So he was also concussed, but not nearly as badly as I was. And also I had a concussion the year before. So, and they compound. And then another one like five years ago. So this is my 3rd concussion in like a 5-year period. By far the most intense. When the car ended up on its side and like people pulled over and came and like dragged us out through the broken windows. And, at that point, I was starting to lose vision in one of my eyes. It was just sparkles everywhere. Oh my! Which is pretty common with brain injuries like that. Like when you have a concussion, basically your brain. I'm saying this, you know this, Kristen. I'm just saying it for explanation.
I don't know that much.
your brain is like floating around in liquid in your skull. And when you have a concussion, it's because your brain actually smashes against your skull, or like twists and smashes against your skull. Like there's like shearing injury and like impact injury. And when that happens, it starts to swell. And the swelling is what causes like or is what gives a lot of the symptoms. And so a lot of people lose some vision because the swelling will cause your optic nerve to either also swell or get pressed on or something. I'm not super familiar with the mechanics of it. But anyway, that's why you get vision issue. So I started to lose some vision in that eye. And then we get taken to the hospital, and it was really, really bad. For the first like 3 days, I was completely bedridden. I would only get up to go to the bathroom. Just constantly sleeping, and extreme sensitivity to sound and light. And it just feels like the worst hangover of your entire life. Plus, if anybody here has ever had like COVID brain fog or something like that, your brain just does not work. It feels like you're moving through molasses. The first 3 days were like that. And then the first month was like that, but I could get around a little bit. Like I could get around the house. I could go outside. Like within 2 weeks, I could walk around the block. And it was just extremely, extremely limiting because you yourself is still in there, still gets bored, still wants to do things, but you do not have access to the computer that allows you to do all of those things. Like that computer is just really laggy, super slow, overheats really easily. So it's extremely, extremely frustrating. And it's basically a lot of the symptoms of having a concussion, a lot of the sensory sensitivities that are symptoms of having a concussion are extremely similar, if not identical, to my already existing sensory sensitivities. So it just cranks everything up by so much. So I was already pretty sensitive to light and sound. My way of being sensitive to light before was if the temperature of the light, like the kelvins, was above 3,000 in the house. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Above 2,500. Absolutely not. Okay. No, I send it back.
Who's measuring the kelvins?
I
Tori.
am. I have a light meter on the phone.
I also hate cool lighting too. And I get so mad when I walk past a house and I see that they just have like an overhead light in the living room and they're all sitting and watching TV and they just have like a light bulb. It's like, you don't have to live this way. Why are you doing that?
You don't have to.
I don't understand.
Christmas, my dad did that. We had Christmas at my house, and I have like a big light, but I usually just turn on all the lamps. And so it started to get dark. So he turns on the big light, and I'm in the kitchen in the other room, and everybody's just kind of like bickering. And I'm like, why is everybody upset? And then I look over, and the big light's on. So I'm like, oh, well, I'll shut the big light off. I turn the lamps on, and everybody goes, oh.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I feel like it is affecting everyone, but like non-neurodivergent people aren't noticing. They're not paying attention to it, but it is affecting them.
It's true. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big part of like early concussion when I was really, really addled. And I couldn't really do anything. Noticing like it was all of my normal sensitivities just cranked up super, super high. What became, I think, more interesting to me as far as like the relationship between my neurodivergence and the TBI was later in the recovery, was when I was able to like go for longer walks or maybe have, a social activity for a little while where I could actually do more. So about a month in. And from there, I started to let me go actually a little bit later. It was when I started to try to go back to work again. I started to try to go back to work again after about 2.5 months. And I started really, really gradual. So I was like 1 hour a day, then 2 hours a day, and I would slowly build up. And I needed to take double the amount of Adderall that I took before to feel okay. And it wasn't to focus. It literally staved off the headaches, the fog, and made it so that I was way less sensitive to sound, which I thought was so interesting that this drug that is very specifically prescribed for ADHD was helping with exacerbated sensory sensitivity from a brain injury.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
And so, I'm still taking more than I did before, not double anymore. It's like slowly coming back down to normal. But yeah.
But even then you're on a pretty low dose, right? Like, I feel like you're very sensitive to stimulants. So even then you're still on a pretty low dose.
Yeah. Pre-concussion, I was on about 15 milligrams a day, but so I would take 3 5s a day. And then post-concussion, I'm in the first week of going back to work, where I was going back full time, I was easily 30 a day.
Wow.
So fully double in order to get by. And now it's slowly coming down and coming back to normal. And there was a time, it's really interesting what happens to your body when you push yourself. So one of the, I would say it was about a few weeks in, I went on one of my long walks, because the day before I had felt really good. I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I'm feeling more normal. Like, I want to be able to go do something. So I decided to go for one of my really long walks. So I walked for an hour and a half from my house into downtown. But I wore my noise canceling earplugs. I was like, this is going to be fine. Like, I'm, being careful. It'll be okay. By the time I got there, it was so not okay. I felt really not good. I had a really bad headache. I felt super overtired and overwrought. And I sat for an hour in the art studio, because I had gone down to the art studio I'm a part of to just pick up a key. And I sat for an hour in the studio, which is pretty quiet and chill. And I was like, okay, I feel well enough to try and get home. And I'm not going to try and walk home. I'm going to get an Uber. So I called an Uber, which was a big mistake, because being in moving vehicles at the time was still really tough for me, because I was having a lot of balance and vestibular issues. That's another thing that happens after you get a concussion. You are dizzy. It's difficult for you to keep your balance and stuff like that. So if you're in a moving vehicle, you can feel not good. So I get in this car and I'm really not feeling well. And I just start looking out the window so that I don't get seasick. And as I'm looking out the window, I notice that there's a bus going by me with an advertisement on the side of these big, people's faces. And the person who I'm looking at is missing their eye, one of their eyes. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Maybe this is a hospital advertisement for I don't know, whatever. So I looked at the other people in the advertisement. They all were missing one of their eyes. And then I started looking at all the people in the street, and they were all missing their right eye.
Whoa.
So crazy.
Everybody. And it wasn't a black spot. It wasn't something. It was
a horror movie.
Yeah. In place of where their eye was supposed to be was just a vortex of nothing.
Whoa.
And this lasted about a half an hour. And then it was replaced. People got their eyeballs back.
Did the Uber driver have one eye?
She had one eye. I looked in the mirror.
Oh
she
my
had
God,
one
I would
eye.
have vomited. I would have been
It was crazy. And then that faded, the vortexes started to become blurred, and you could see the eyes under them. And then what it was replaced by was there was a horizontal, jagged horizontal line across my vision. And everything below that line was just sparkles and nothing.
Nope.
And it was, and I was talking to my cognitive physical therapist about it, because I was in cognitive PT for a little while. And she was saying that's a really extreme and rare version of a migraine that can happen when you have a brain injury. So a lot of really weird things. But it's September at this point. And I'm still I think the ways in which being a sensitive person limited me before has been increased by 10%. I feel permanently.
That's hard.
Yeah.
So you're already pretty sensitive.
I am.
You are.
It's true.
So how else do you accommodate yourself now that you weren't having to do quite as much before?
I do a lot more breaks. And I also, it's interesting that having the excuse, quote unquote, of having been in this accident, I feel a lot more empowered to take the breaks that I need to take if I'm feeling overstimulated. So I can just be hey, I need to take a concussion break. I'm overwrought. I need to go lay down for a little bit, and I'll do what I call a sensory deprivation nap. where I just lay down with my earplugs in and my eye mask on. And I had a really good explanation by one of the doctors that I was seeing of how when you're getting overstimulated, because his explanation was purely around a TBI. When you're getting overstimulated because you have a TBI, it's like your brain is a funnel for information. And when you have a brain injury, that funnel gets a lot narrower. And so when you have too much, it backs up. And so you need to stop adding stuff to the funnel. So that's why I go do my sensory deprivation nap, stops adding things to the funnel and lets it all drain out and come back to equilibrium. And that absolutely works, whether your overstimulation is because you have a brain injury or because you're neurodivergent. And like for me at this point, it's absolutely a little combo of both. And I've been doing those sensory deprivation naps for like 15 to 30 minutes if I'm feeling overwrought. And it's really, really helpful. I think that's the biggest one. And then just having earplugs and using them when I need them is another really big one. Yeah, I think those are, and I also think that my mentality around work and productivity has shifted a lot after the accident. I think before, Grace, you know this about me, I was a very, to a fault, tenacious, driven person, and I would get it done no matter the cost. And that is just completely gone now. And that's a mindset shift of just like what actually matters and what doesn't matter. Like when you have looked death in the face very, very distinctly, it's like, I don't know, like the things that I used to care about just seem really stupid at this point. So it's also easier for me to take breaks and take the time that I need at work in general because the priorities have shifted.
Yeah, I definitely see that in you. And I think that's good. As terrible as your accident was, I'm glad it kind of got you to slow down and be a little easier on yourself. I think that a lot of neurodivergent people, especially as kids, like I think there's a big psychosomatic element to a lot of neurodivergent kids needing rest, needing those sensory breaks, but not feeling like they can take them, not knowing how to. And so I think we do tend to either like develop certain illnesses as our body's way of saying like, all right, if you're not going to take a break by choice, I'm going to like force you to take a break. Or we kind of develop, like, I don't know how much of my, like needing sick days or whatever is kind of psychosomatic of like, it's the only way I'm allowed, quote unquote, to take a break. And so therefore I kind of have to make up a reason for why I have to take this break. And then it's like, okay and acceptable.
Right. And half of this goes back to capitalism, right? Because it's like, if you want to take a sick day, now you have to go and get a doctor's note and it has to be like documented. Like, how dare you just decide like today's not doing it for me and I'm just going to take the day off, even if you have like the PTO or something. It's crazy.
Big time.
Yeah. Hustle mindset, rise and grind. All right. Before we end, because I know you have to go in like 15 minutes, but I did want to hear real quick, like what autistic traits did you notice, did your autistic traits essentially become more pronounced when you started taking Adderall? Because that is what I experienced and like what many AuDHDers seem to have experienced, where because the ADHD was like really covering up a lot of my autistic traits, I was like, well, I don't know, I'm so chaotic and I fly by the seat of my pants and blah, blah, blah. But I noticed that once I started taking stimulants and I was able to kind of, for the most part, follow my brain's like autistic rigidity, I actually became a lot more rigid. It was just my ADHD chaos was like covering it up. So did you kind of go through a similar thing?
No, not at all. I did not get more rigid. I think what I did get was, I think the biggest change for me with having Adderall in my life versus not having it was just being generally happier and less depressed. And so in that way, it really allowed me to pursue a lot of the special interests that I either didn't know that I had or had and just didn't have the like energy or motivation to pursue. And so I got a lot more overtly and unapologetically into my things that I'm into once I started taking stimulants, because I was just happier. Like when people, I try to describe like what the difference before and after for me is. And it's just like, without it, I feel a baseline level of anxiety and I feel like something is wrong. And with it, that anxiety is way lower and I just don't feel like something is wrong. And I'm instead looking for, what do I want to do? What will, be inspiring or bring me pleasure today? And so I didn't experience getting more rigid, but it's interesting that you say that because there's also a lot of other stuff going on in my life at the same time. So I think I've been getting a lot less rigid in general over the last 5 years, which is the same time as I've started taking stimulants, largely because I started couples therapy a lot like 5 years ago, which has just also been really revolutionary for how I engage with other people and relate to other people. Like at normal therapy that we do, like normal talk therapy is like, oh, how do you feel about your life and moving through things like that. But relational therapy is literally teaching you how to relate with others. Mm-hmm. And yes, it is for my, relationship with Justin that we're taking this therapy, but all of the like relational skills and behaviors and patterns that I'm learning about in there, I get to apply to like literally everything else. So and everyone else. So that's also helping me, I think, be a lot less rigid. So I think it would be difficult to isolate the rise and fall of rigidity for me anyway, to the introduction of meds or not, because I think that these other therapies and other things going on in life were also really contributing to that.
Mm-hmm. And you already, I think, were like more rigid than I was before my medication. So it's almost like the stimulants probably just like allowed you to follow through on that rather than like bringing out this newfound rigidity. It's like now I have the executive functioning and the energy to like go and hyper focus on this thing for 9 hours straight and like really, really get absorbed in this thing.
That's a big one. Yeah. Like I had the rigidity before, but not necessarily the follow through, which was a huge source of like cognitive dissonance and caused a lot of distress. And now I have the rigidity and the follow through. So that works out great.
and studies show that like having the combination of AuDHD is more difficult and more distressing than just having ADHD or just having autism, because it truly is like the two wolves inside of you. And your ADHD can never, ever follow through on everything that autism wants in terms of organization and rules and rigidity. And so it's like you're constantly in distress because you have someone in your brain saying like, all right, well, that's not how you are supposed to do things. And it's got to be like this. And it's got to be perfect. And then the ADHD just like cannot make it happen. So I feel like that is very distressing to know how you want things to be done and feeling very distressed if they're not done a certain way and then not being able to do it that certain way.
Yeah, big time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. I want to hear a couple of your strengths because I think it's important to focus on strengths, and then we'll do like your quirks real quick, and then we'll get out of here.
Okay. What do you mean?
Tell me some of your AuDHD strengths of like
how much can you lift?
Yeah. What are you deadlifting these days?
Yeah.
Nothing. There's no Myrtle. That is what I'm definitely deadlifting. My 20-pound dog. Okay. Some of my strengths are when I'm interested in something, it's not a casual interest. It's like a fully dive in, headlong, learn absolutely everything about this thing, and am able to parrot back everything that I've learned and really interested in telling everybody about this special interest that I have. And those do change over time, but there are some consistent ones that I've had for years that I'm just a weird little armchair expert in for absolutely no reason. I've wrote them down. Some of these include neuroscience, like not just like pop neuroscience, not neuroscientists listening. Please don't freak out here. Definitely pop neuroscience. Like reading all of the Oliver Sacks and The Brain on Fire and Brain That Changes Itself, and like just very, very fascinated by how the brain works in general. And really not from an ADHD or autism perspective, just generally. And then like pregnancy, birth, and surrogacy and IVF mix-ups, sexual moralisms, and the intersection of the dawn of agrarian societies. Holy cow. I could go on about that forever.
Whoa.
I don't know what that is, but I think we need to have you come back so you can tell us about it.
Great.
Yes.
I'm so ready to learn about that.
Yeah.
We'll give you a whole special interest episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be, dude, you don't know how happy that would make me. But anyway, so yeah, I think like
I do.
being really into whatever I'm into at the moment, especially if that has to do with work, I do that same type of deep diving. So I think that's a really big strength. I also think that this is a strength and a weakness at the same time, because I had so few social skills as a child and had such difficulty interacting with other kids and making friends and forming connections in that way. And even not forming connections with people in my family. Obviously my family loved me, but I could tell that I was being weird and that they were like freaked out by it and didn't, and I was just like, oh fuck, I'm doing something wrong. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I don't know how to fix it. And everything that I did to resolve that, like as soon as I got to the like teenage years, I started to watch everyone like a hawk and would imitate everything that they did, to the point of imitating patterns of speech when we go up versus down and imitating where they put their hands. And I remember sitting at lunch tables where I would sit close to a group, but not with the group, so that they didn't be like, why are you sitting with us? But if anybody else looking at me wouldn't think I was sitting by myself. So it was like kind of satisfying both of those needs. And I would just sit and watch these other kids and like imitate how they picked up their sandwich. Because I would even think about that. Like, how do I pick up my sandwich?
Oh,
Is like the food gonna, like, oh my God, like there are so many different little things like that. And so by watching, I learned how to social. And now I feel like I'm quite good at it. Like I'm very extroverted. I have lots of friends. I don't think anybody who knows me on a surface level would know that I'm neurodivergent. It's like only once I, take the shield away a little bit is
yes,
when that comes out.
You can hide it well.
Exactly. And I think, until I, I think that level of observation.
There will be signs, and that might be one of them.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. I think that level of observation made me really hyper aware of other people's emotions and state. And that makes me very able to empathize and be compassionate with people, because I'm like seeing their emotions so distinctly and even when they're very subtle. So I think that's definitely a strong point that I have. And because I'm watching people so finely, like I feel like I have a really good ability to help people synthesize what's going on with them. Like even if they don't necessarily, if they're like, oh, I'm feeling really distressed and I'm really upset about this, I will sometimes be able to help them get to the root of what they're upset about faster. So I think that like really good empathy is also a really big one. So I think those two are
it's like autistic anthropology, kind of.
Yeah.
Of like studying how humans socialize in the wild.
Totally.
In the cafeteria.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
But as an alien species myself.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I often feel like an alien.
Jane Goodall, but you're just watching neurotypicals.
Just watching neurotypicals. Yeah, exactly.
Trying to fit in. Yeah. And it worked.
I love that.
I also think you're incredibly creative. Yeah, very thoughtful. You are really brave in terms of like just going after the things you want. Like the reason you got into your grad program was because you put a sticky note on the lab door just saying like, hey, I'd love to be in the program. Like that's crazy.
What?
Yeah, I had no plan after college because I don't make long-term plans ever. There's no such thing as a long-term plan for me. Like someone asked me about my 5-year plan. I'm like, shut up. Like,
I've never understood that. I'm like, who thinks about that? Like, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Plan. I don't get it. But anyway, I was in Vermont and I wanted to move to Vermont because my sister lived there. And I was like, that's, whatever. That's a good reason. Seems nice here. And I was walking around by the waterfront and I saw a laboratory and I was like, whoa, a fish laboratory on a lake. That's batshit. Because coming from the ocean, I had never thought about lakes as somewhere that someone would study. And so I left a note and I also saw that they had a research vessel and I had lots of, sea time and hours and experience on that. And so I left them a note. It was like, hey, I have, 10,000 miles of offshore sea time. I see you have a research vessel. Whoa. I'm a major of, my major was marine science and I've done a bunch of field work. I'd love to take a tour of your lab. And then by the end of that weekend, they had offered me a funded master's in acoustic telemetry of salmonids, and I did not know what that meant. They said, would you be interested in doing acoustic telemetry with salmonids? And I knew salmonids was salmon, had no idea what acoustic telemetry was. And I was like, yeah, that sounds excellent.
Acoustic telemetry?
Yeah, so you implant these fish with little sound transmitters, and then you put receivers throughout the lake. And when the fish swim around, it hears them and sees where they went.
You know, I was thinking of acoustic telepathy, and I was like, is this another Peter the Dolphin situation where they're trying to teach the salmon how to speak?
I wish. That would have been a lot cooler.
I misheard. Okay. That makes more sense.
Nice.
That was very bold of you to just go for it. And you did it, and you didn't even know what the program really was. And here you are.
Oh, thanks, Grace. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I have I have two creatures in me all the time. I wrote this in my journal the other day of like, I have one creature that's like, I don't know. And then there's this pure chaos machine creature that will come in and shove that one out of the way and do things that feel extremely risky. And that's how almost everything that I've accomplished has had some element of the bucket kicker. I call her the bucket kicker. She will just come in and be like, we're doing it. Like, don't think, just go. And like, not all of them are, you know, great decisions or even really well thought through. But I think that analysis paralysis kills us all, you know? And so sometimes it's nice to have a bucket kicker living in the amygdala.
Especially when you have like that really rigid autistic side. I think without the bucket kicker, you would be so stuck in these loops and just
100%.
Decision paralysis. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Do we have time real quick for you to tell us your 3 quirks? We don't even have to do the song.
Let me look at what is next. Oh, we actually have until 2 if we need it. But
look at that.
We definitely have 3 minutes. Okay. What?
Good.
Ask me the question.
What? All right. For our segment, I'm So Quirky, because we're kind of doing a mashup of one guest episode. But this is a segment where you tell us, it's kind of a facetious segment where we talk about your neurodivergent quirks, quote unquote, of ADHD or autistic traits or things you do because of ADHD or autism that people might minimize as like, oh, you're just quirky. But really, it's like, no, these are actually like signs of a real neurodivergence. And some are kind of more lighthearted and silly, and some are more like devastating and life-altering. So tell us your 3 quirks.
Cool. Okay. Well, my first quirk is what I call my dance walks. And this is something that I do when I have a lot going on and I need, like, my brain is just so full and like looping and going and changing subjects all the time. I super overload my brain with stuff in order to not have to feel bad. I feel good. So I put on noise canceling headphones and put really, really, really loud music on. It's actually my Get Shit Done playlist, which I will send you all because
I love
excellent.
A good playlist. Yes.
Please. Yeah, please share it.
And it's not to get anything done. It is literally just to go for what I call a dance walk, which I like to do at night so that no one can see me and doesn't think I'm crazy. And I have this really, really loud music on and I'm just walking super fast, like almost running, but also dancing at the same time.
Sounds really cool.
I love this. At night, though, are you wearing like reflective gear to be safe?
No, the point is to not be seen. The point is to not be seen because like
get some glow bracelets or something because that's fun. Like, just see some glow bracelets.
I'm like out there, like no sound, like fucking silent disco, but mobile. Because silent disco standing still, I'd get like bored and distracted, or like I'd start ruminating about something. But if I'm walking, then I'm like, whoa, my body is engaged and I feel good. So that's like totally normal thing to do. Everybody does that.
That sounds like a good strategy. I think more people should be doing that.
I want to go for a dance walk.
Like, that's great self-regulation.
I highly recommend it. Dance walks are really good.
I'm going to try that.
Another quirk is, accents. Accents. Holy shit.
Yes, you do love to do accents. You're always speaking in accents.
I love accents so much. And I have to do mental gymnastics to not
to imitate people.
Someone who is doing, like, I had...
Me too.
We're in the process of buying this other house. And the notary came here yesterday, and he's lived in Florida his whole life. He's Cuban. He has the most incredible Cuban accent. So good. And as I'm talking, I feel myself slipping into a Cuban accent. And Justin's looking at me, and I'm like, no, Tori, rein it in, Tori. And so, and I'm not like accent and not accent. Like I'm like graduating it, like going from someone who's like been in the US for 30 years to someone who just got here level of accent. So I have such a difficult time reining myself in from imitating accents. I love them so much. And on a similar note here is literary language, where I just pepper like obscure literary words throughout my normal talking, like huzzah, or forgive me about this tale, and there's the accent. And, and I just do it. And I don't really realize it. I don't hear it. I didn't hear it. I didn't know that I did it until recently. About a year ago, a friend of mine got a haircut, and it was really short, and it looked so good on her. She looked incredible. It really like just highlighted her cheekbones and her neck, and she looked so good, but she was freaking out about the haircut. She was like, I think I'm just gonna, grow it out. Like, I really don't like it. And I was like, oh, you mustn't. It looks so good. Like, how could you? And then
that's high praise.
Another friend looked at me and was just like, yeah, Tori, you would say you mustn't. You talk like that sometimes. And I really thought about it. I was just like, oh, and now I pay attention, and I do. Like, I fill in these words that I think sound fun, or they have like a cool phonetic thing to them. It's like verbal ASMR, and I really like them. And so I put them all over the place. Like, for example, I don't like calling people's children their kids. I like calling them their procreants or their offspring. And that's also like a slight disdain of like, procreants. Like, I don't really like, I don't like to admit that I like children, but if I call them procreants, it's a little disdainful, and it like masks the fact that I actually do like children. And, various things like this. And so I didn't realize that was kind of that was like one of my autistic flags until I started watching Love on the Spectrum and Connor and James.
Oh, Connor and James.
Connor and
so
James.
Much.
Constant accents, constant peppering of literary language. And I was just like, oh, hey, friends. Like,
That's
hey, how we doing?
Yes.
How we doing? So those are two fun ones.
Those are fun.
And I think my quirk that is more devastating is this one's not super devastating, but it does suck, I think, relationally, is when I'm super hyper fixated on something and I get interrupted, I am not at all empathetic or thinking about the experience of the other person, because I'm just like, it's just lizard brain at that moment. Mm-hmm. Justin will literally bring me a home cooked lunch and put it on my desk and give me a kiss on the cheek. And I'm like, oh, like, I will kill you. What have you done? I was in the middle of making a diagram of a very complex topic, and you know how I love diagrams. And then he's just like, but I made you lunch and gave you a kiss. Like, why are you filled with rage and really mad at me? And so I think it's
the transition.
Yes.
It's the transition. That's what's really hard for us, is transitioning in or out of focus.
Yes.
Or if it's like really sudden and abrasive, it's like totally life ruining, so dysregulating.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I think like my way of dealing with interruptions is definitely one of my less pleasant quirks, and also my complete inability to mask if somebody is doing something that irritates me from a sensory standpoint, like chewing, for example, with chewing audibly. I have no fucking chill. I can't. And I'm trying to be much better about that, because I don't want to influence other people.
What about chips? Lives. What if they can't help it?
Don't eat a chip around her.
Chips?
No chips.
Don't eat a chip.
I'm not like,
don't eat a chip.
But like, you can't help but crunch on a chip. Chips are crunchy.
I know. I get it. I leave the room now. Like, I leave when other people are chewing. I just leave.
Good accommodation for yourself. Yeah.
Thank you. I did good job.
Proud of you. You do have quite the mad face of like you just get. It's so apparent when you are annoyed. There is
I have no poker face.
How dare you eat chips?
No.
At all.
No. God, remember that time I left a single cup in the sink and you thought it was Dylan who had done it, so you left a sticky note with a frowny face on it. Like it's 1 cup.
But we had just talked about it.
That's
we
so
had just
petty.
we had just talked about. I thought it was so. In my mind, this is so funny because we've talked about this. This happened like 10 years ago. We're still talking about this
so long ago.
In my mind, I saw that filled with rage because we had just had a roommate meeting and I made like a chart of chores that everybody was supposed to follow. And I was so excited about this. I was like, there's a system. Everyone loves a system. I'm helping them out. Like, it's going to be great. Nobody loves systems, especially not my two very different.
Yeah, I was going to say these are like
roommates.
Sounds like the 2 worst system followers.
It was not good. So I had my chore chart and I was so excited. I was like, this is what we're going to do. It's going to be great. And everyone's like, yep. Sounds good. Tori, please shut up. And so I thought that after that, everything was going to be great. And we had just had this discussion and we had just clarified the rules and the expectations. And here exists now in the sink a cup. There's a cup. And I was enraged because we had just had the conversation yesterday. I was like, no, there can't be a cup in the sink. And so I had my like real freak out moment. And I was just like, you know what, Tori, you could send a really angry text or you could like get really mad at them when they get home or you could be so chill and calm and be this like really like cool, laid back person who leaves a cute, funny sticky note on the mug. That's just a frown face.
Nothing chiller and cooler than a sticky note.
Because there's no vicious language in there. There's no like direct confrontation. In my mind, I was like, you're doing a good job.
You're nailing this living with other people
thing.
You
were nailing it. Grace did not think I was doing a good job and has talked about it for a decade. And so,
well, I believe the dishes discussion was between you and Dylan specifically, and I wasn't really involved in the dishes discussion. So for me, I was just going about my daily thing. I think I had to like rush to class. So I was like, I'll leave 1 cup by the sink. No. Yeah. Unacceptable.
No. This was I don't know which was more unacceptable, the cup or the sticky note. It didn't genuinely like upset me. It was more like, this is so Tori. Oh yeah.
It's so Tori. Yeah.
It sucks that you tried so hard to be like non-confrontational, but just ended up being kind of really confrontational.
Because I know.
Passive aggressive, if you will.
Yeah, it's like so passive aggressive. I love it.
It's like giving someone a thumbs down in traffic.
Yeah.
Like more shameful than the middle finger.
Right.
No, bad. I just did that this morning, actually, to someone who cut me off.
I just showed Grace this before I got here. And I think, so I took this personality quiz yesterday and see the really, really low red bar there? Yeah. That's agreeableness. It's
no. What's yellow? Why is yellow at the top? What's that?
Yellow is I'm in the 97th percentile of openness.
Okay.
I'm in the 21st percentile of agreeableness, which is very low. Mm-hmm. I'm in the 7th percentile of emotional stability, which is extremely low.
Like clinically low.
They're like, we've never seen scores this low.
Clinically low. Diagnosable, low. One might say.
One might say.
53rd percentile for conscientious. And this was interesting because I was listening to a podcast yesterday where this woman was talking about these big 5 personality traits and the degree to which you can change them with your behaviors and like how much personality is locked and how much personality is something that you can modify with behavior change. And conscientiousness was something that they talked about a while because of the fact that conscientiousness, when you talk about it as a personality trait, you can talk about it that way. You can also talk about it as issues with executive functioning. It's the same thing. So you could either say someone has an ADHD diagnosis, or you could say they are very low on the conscientious scale. And those two things mean the same thing. One has a moralistic implication and one doesn't. But it's also just like, go ahead.
Is that just like thinking of others and like thinking of how your behaviors are like impacting others?
No, this one is organization, productiveness, and responsibility. Those are the 3.
Interesting.
Oh,
okay.
Like,
so yeah, ADHD.
Well, we're all scoring low on that one.
Yeah, I got to take that.
Yeah.
I got to take that test.
I think you should. It's really interesting. And what I thought was like, it kind of really bookends back to the beginning of our conversation of like, there are things you can do to improve your conscientiousness, whether you are a neurodivergent person or not. because those things you can do involve so many of the coping mechanisms we all use. Like I write something down as soon as I think of it because my short-term memory is just gone, like goodbye. So like I export my short-term memory in a list. I always have everything in my calendar because it will be gone otherwise. And these are like habits that we can do to accommodate for our lack of conscientiousness or our, otherwise lack of ability to do that on our own. So we can become more conscientious and we can overcome a lot of our ADHD downsides. Because I think honestly, there are probably more upsides than downsides, but we can overcome a lot of our downsides through skills, through medication, through so many different things. And I thought it was a really cool way to think about it and look at it. And it's so the opposite of that limiting yourself by being confined by a diagnosis.
Yeah. And that's why I am like at times so pushy about people acknowledging their ADHD and autism, because there are so many simple things like that. Like obviously not every accommodation is like a simple, easy thing, but there are a lot of them where, we have a lot of magical thinking in ADHD, especially where it's like, despite zero evidence, I'm somehow going to do this thing faster than any other time I've tried this in the past, even though it's never once gone faster. Or I'm somehow magically going to remember this thing, even though it's never happened before. I've never been able to remember that thing. So just, it's like the acknowledgement of it. Like, I don't want to know how long this thing takes me, because then I'll have to like acknowledge the truth of how long it takes me. And I want to stay in this like magical place of like, but what if I could do it somehow faster this time? Or what if I just try really hard and remember it? It's like, well, you're not going to. So let's find a different strategy. And I think coming to terms with that can be really difficult, but it's like such a life-changing thing that really doesn't require a ton of work. It's really just the acknowledgement of it and like, okay, well, how else could I help myself remember this? Write it down. Boom. Easy solution. Now, can you remember where you wrote it down? That's the problem. I have recently found in my notes app, I was like, we should watch a movie. What movie should we watch? I'm sure I have a list. I looked. I have 13 different lists that I've started. movies and TV, movies to watch. Grace and Ian movies. And each list has like 2 movies on it. Probably could have consolidated those things a bit.
That's great.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, I can commiserate with that. At work, I have a sticky notes app. I have a Fig Jam file that's like my whiteboard of stuff to remember. And I have a loop component that's a list of tasks to do, all 3 different places. None of them are like, all of the stuff is captured, but there is not a clear
scattered
system.
About.
Yeah. It's digital.
I do that with
digital mayhem.
Yeah, I do that with notebooks too, and I think that's why I keep starting new pages. I'm like, all right, this one is a clean start. This will be the notebook that I will use specifically for my house task lists. And then I'll make one, and then I'll flip the page, and then I'll just use that notebook for whatever. I'm like, okay, well, all right, I'm going to start clean. This notebook will be for my house task list. And I just have so many notebooks that are just chaotically filled with a bunch of random notes. Not one of them is dedicated to one thing, but doesn't that sound nice if I could?
But I feel like you can... At least, so I do that too, but I can remember like, oh, well, even though it's not in an organized system, this notebook is that time I wrote down that random thing that I need to do. So let me look into that notebook. But this notebook over here, that has like the list of groceries that I need, even though the rest of it is like not grocery related.
Yeah,
it's like
I'll remember.
It's chaos.
Yeah, organized chaos. I'll remember what page of what notebook it's on, but it's not in any type of system.
Speaking of remembering what page on what notebook, do you? Okay, and I was thinking about this the other day, and I wanted to mention it to you, Grace, because I've been asking you every time I have like a thought of like, that's a weird thing my brain does. I wonder if Grace's brain also does it. When I'm listening to audio, like whether it's music or a podcast or a book or anything, I'm usually doing that when I'm moving. I can't really listen to just audio sitting still. I get too bored and antsy. I will remember it, like if we're talking about in book club, one specific part of the book, I will remember exactly where I was when I was listening to that part of the book.
Yes. Whoa. That's exactly what I do.
I have such geospatial mapping to cognitive, to auditory memory. And it's so fascinating to me. I remember what part of the highway I was on when this song came on. Like the memory of the memory of the sounds is overlaid with the visual input of where you were.
That's really cool. I don't share that trait, but I wish I did.
Doesn't that sound nice? Yeah, it's
It
like
sounds
such
really cool.
That I feel like is one of my few like very, very autistic things my brain does where I'm like, all right, that's like a pretty cool power where, and I'll remember the most obscure detail and it'll like, because I can't picture in my brain, but I will imagine myself being in that situation and I'll remember myself like listening to it. And it's like my brain can like play it back almost.
But I'm sorry, you can't imagine in your brain?
No. And I was about to ask you that. Can you visualize, like picture things in your brain as if you were looking, as if your eyes are open?
I don't understand the question.
Can you see pictures in your brain? Like how do you think when
Yes,
you're thinking thoughts?
Yes.
But are you picturing them, visualizing them as if you're seeing them with your eyes open, or are you just thinking about what they look like?
This is where Grace like gets aggressive with her interrogation.
Because I think the people who think they're visualizing aren't actually visualizing. They're thinking about what the concept looks like, and you don't have any reference point for what is actually visualizing. And people can actually see pictures as if their eyes are open to the point where it activates their optic center in their brain. They've done fMRI studies where it'll activate as if their eyes are open looking at it. That's a very like rare thing. And I think most people can't do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Relatively rare. You do that?
I don't know. Because I'm having a very difficult time understanding the question. Like if I see things in my head, can you give an example?
All right, like picture an apple right now.
Okay.
Are you seeing it in your mind as if it was in front of you? Are you coming up with a new image of apple, or are you just remembering a specific image of apple?
When you said think of an apple, I had the image of an apple like rotating in my head like it was like on an invisible pedestal. Then when you said remember an image of an apple, there's apples in that bowl over there that I put away this morning, and I clearly saw the apples in the bowl.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think you probably can visualize, but the reference that probably why you're confused is like there's people who can't see anything, me and Kristen included.
You're looking
I don't
at
see
two of them.
anything. It's called aphantasia. I don't see anything in my brain. It's totally black. I hear words. I think in constant sounds and words. I can't visualize at all. I'm not seeing anything.
You only think in words.
Yes. I can think in concepts, but I'm not picturing, I'm not coming up with the image in my brain as if I'm looking at it.
What do you do
thinking
when you
of the That's hard because I'm literally not picturing anything. I'm not picturing characters. I don't pay attention to character traits because they don't matter to me. If I have a reference for it, like if I were to reread Hunger Games, I'd be picturing Jennifer Lawrence. But for a book where I have no character reference, I'm literally not imagining. But you just said
you're picturing Jennifer Lawrence, so you have to see Jennifer Lawrence.
Even that, it's so like relative to how your brain works because turns out I'm not actually picturing it. I'm thinking of what she looks like. I'm thinking about seeing her. I'm not actually seeing her. I'm thinking about looking at her.
Right. So right now we're like sanding all of our kitchen cabinets, and we had a really hard time coming up with like what stain and like, should we sand them? Should we paint them? And I just like, I cannot figure out which would look best because I can't see it in my mind. And so much so that Christopher actually went into Canva and had to do like, he took a picture of our kitchen and then he did kind of like a mock-up of like what it would look like. And then even so, I like couldn't, I got there a little bit, but it wasn't until he stained one of the cabinets and put it up against our green that we have in the living room and on the floors that we want to pick out and all these things. And I'm like, oh, now it's coming together. But I had to like see it with my own eyes. I couldn't like, whereas he was like, oh yeah, if we stain the cabinet, this stain, it will look really nice. And this is what it would look like. And I just like couldn't see it. He had to like force the image onto my brain and
he can like make changes to the image in his brain too. He can like manipulate it. He can change it. Yeah. Because he's like a super strong visualizer. Whereas I need to like physically see it done in real life to be like, oh yeah, I don't like that. But it requires like painting the wall to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where I fall on that spectrum. I don't know.
If you're confused. Yeah. Oh, it definitely is. Yeah. Like it's a 1 to 5 scale in terms of aphantasia. Some people can see like outlines. Some people can visualize stuff, but only stuff they've seen before. You know, there's like definitely a spectrum to it. Yeah. But I bet you can visualize more than us.
I think I
by
can.
The way you're confused. Yeah.
And that's also
what's the alternative?
Well, I think it's also like synesthesia. Like, how could I?
Yeah, that's right. We haven't even gotten to synesthesia.
Yeah, how could I have that without seeing things
Is that
in my head?
The seeing of color? True. You see colors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you mix up your senses.
Yeah, like stuff that doesn't have a visual input has an accompanying one. So like sounds, mostly sounds that like have some emotive quality to them, like music, or very nostalgic sounds will have some type of like visual color associated with them. Numbers have really colors, stuff like that.
You have all the cool brain things. I just have dyslexia, and that sucks.
True that. Oh, Tori also does a bunch of malaphors, which Kristen is infamous for on the podcast. Don't count your ducks happy.
Don't count your ducks happy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Kristen's is wake up and pound sand, as opposed to like I think rise and grind.
Oh my god!
Hit the ground running. Hit the ground running. Wake up and pound sand.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a crazy one with hit the ground running the other day at work. It was start off on the right foot and hit the ground running. So it was something like, I don't remember what I said. I said, yeah, like we really got to make sure that we hit the floor, walk the feet. Oh, and I just like had this like stroke moment during a meeting. And my colleagues were like, what are you trying to say? I was like, I want to make this go quickly without impedance, not impedance. Oh, without impediment.
You got there. Just blame it on the concussion.
Similar.
I'm concussed.
Impedance. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. As we wind down real quick, you think we have time for your pizza secret?
Oh.
And then we'll get you out of here?
Sure. Let's do my pizza secret.
Okay. Can we sing the song?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to sing the
song?
It's going to make
You're
me
singing
so
the song.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're going to sing the song too. Yeah.
You got the lyrics
there. It's going to be all off key because we're online. It's going to be great.
That's my favorite. It's literally just pizza secrets. Tell me your secrets. Pizza secrets. Really high.
You're going to love it.
All right.
You're going to have a great time.
Ready.
Are you ready?
Count us off.
Wait, I don't know how the song goes. Can you sing the song really quick first?
Pizza secrets. Tell me your secrets.
Pizza
secrets.
Oh, okay. Okay. Great.
Yeah, that's it. It's very short.
Yeah. Okay.
Barely even a song. That's why I'm doing it to you. All right. I'll give us a countdown. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Pizza secrets. Tell me your secrets. Pizza secrets. Yay.
That's going to sound great.
Yay. Way to get out of your comfort zone.
Thank you.
All right, Tori, what is your pizza secret?
Okay. My pizza secret is a story of me hating paperwork. And it was when I worked at the University of Vermont. I was a researcher and I was setting up a system of like scientific equipment that was being sunk in the lake. And to mark that equipment, I had to put buoys on it. So I knew where it was. And my boss at the time told me, hey, you need to register those buoys with the Coast Guard so that they know where they are. And this is on a lake. And I grew up on the ocean. And that is just not a thing at all. People put buoys in the ocean all the time. And there's no Coast Guard registry of where they are. Like, for example, lobster pots, crab pots, various things. You're not registering where those are with anybody. You just put them out there. And I was like, this is some bullshit, bureaucratic nonsense. Nobody cares about this. This is fine. So I tried to figure for a little bit how to do it. I'm looking around the websites, the internets, trying to find how to register these buoys. Couldn't figure it out. Really, really don't like bureaucracy that doesn't seem logical to me. Not a big fan. And so I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to send a little missive out into the universe and call it done. So what I did was I sent my spreadsheet of where these buoys were to something like info@coastguard.com. It was like, hello, Coast Guard. I have buoys in the lake, and I have been told that I must register them with you. I do not know how to do this. Here are their locations. Maybe you can do it for me or tell me what to do. I will never think about this again. It is now out of my brain.
Yep. So
I sent this email and totally forgot about it. Months go by, buoys are out, everything's great. And my boss is hosting her daughter for a visit. Her daughter comes in. She lives really far away. She's not around very often, so it's a very special visit. And she's there for the whole weekend. During this weekend visit, on Sunday, the lab gets this phone call from this irate landowner alongside the lake who has noticed there's a buoy offshore of his house. And
how dare you?
How dare I? And he has looked up the buoy registry, and this buoy is not on the registry. And he's so mad that this buoy is inside his house. So pissed.
This is a man with too much time. Get a hobby.
Exactly.
That's the real lesson here. Get a hobby.
100% agree. And so he calls Ellen. Well, he calls the lab and is like, if you don't come here and take this buoy away, I'm going to cut it. So then our like $1,200 piece of equipment would be lost forever. Also, look at Leonard.
I was going to say, look at Leonard stretching.
Yeah, this $1,200 piece of equipment will be lost forever. So that's problem number one, is that, fuck, we got to go out there and cut this thing now. And paperwork thing that I hate that I didn't do, number two, in order to drive the laboratory boat, you had to have gone through this test to be certified to drive the laboratory boat, which I did not do because I also hate that. And so I didn't. So I am also not certified to drive the boat. And the only person around who is certified to drive the boat is my boss, whose daughter is visiting from far away.
No.
And it's on Sunday. So she has to come out of her family vacation, get on this boat with me, who is not allowed to drive the boat, to go pick up this buoy, which is not supposed to be there because it's not registered because I didn't do that.
Yep.
And it was the most shameful. It was also, I would say, a pivotal turning point in my adult life. Like after that, I never, ever dropped balls like that again because I was so shamed by that experience.
That's so shameful. I remember that like traumatized me because that's something that I would do too. And I couldn't believe that you had done it. It made me feel a bit better of like, oh, Tori does those things too. But like the thought of that and having to ride on that boat makes me feel sick to my stomach.
Did you just ride in silence?
Yeah. And it was a long boat ride. No. It was a long boat ride. It was like an hour. And I just remember like when she showed up at the lab, I was so scared. I was like going to poop my pants. I was so scared shitless. And she was just like, Tori. Oh, she had a British accent. I forgot. Yeah. She's like,
oh, even worse.
Tori, I don't know what it is with you and these things. I don't know how we're going to get you to do these things. I don't know. And she was basically like, because this is not the first time something like this had happened, where it's been like a thing that is important but isn't intrinsically valuable to me. So I didn't want to do it. So I didn't do it. And it's just fucking up other people's days. And she was just like, I don't know how we're going to get through to you on this stuff. Like, and it wasn't, hey, you did a bad job or I'm mad at you. It was just this like total, like, I give up on you and you're so disappointing. And I was just like, oh no. Yeah.
It was so shameful. See, once again, the thumbs down is more shameful than a middle finger.
It really
is. Disappointment.
But it was also like, I cite that experience to this day as like a turning point in my career, as a turning point in me being an adult. As like Ellen shaming me because I did this really stupid, irresponsible thing, and just like being so not like, I think if she was angry and vicious, I wouldn't have been able to receive it, but it wasn't angry and vicious. It was just like disappointed. And that was so much worse.
Yeah, it is so much worse. Yeah, because you can't even like feel justifiably mad because you're just sitting in the shame.
No, just sitting in it. Just like, But
yeah.
now let's go get
But
this.
also, yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
friggin'
hurt
man.
hearing that. That hurt
Yeah.
me.
That was tough,
Yeah.
man. Well, what a
Aw.
great note to end on, you guys.
Yeah. It's a secret.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was a wonderful
thank
episode.
you.
I can't wait to listen to it back. We
Mhm.
still have a lot of stuff to cover that we'll have to do in the future and have you back on. Have you just kind
Fun.
of talk about your many special interests would be great.
I had a great time chatting with you guys. This was really fun. I'm excited to hear you guys interrogate Justin. That's what I'm more excited about. to be
I
honest with you.
cannot wait to get him on the podcast.
That will be
Because he and I
hilarious.
love to bicker, and I feel like it's going to be a really fun episode.
Yeah.
I have a lot of
That'd be great.
neurotypical questions.
Yes, he's good at
Part of
that.
that. I'm not sure if they like truly exist, you know?
Oh, this boy.
Skeptical.
He is.
Skeptical.
They do.
He is he's normal. Crazy.
Yeah, especially in
said that
comparison to you.
He said that sometimes he's just sitting there and there's nothing going on in his brain. He said sometimes he's sitting there and there's just nothing. It's just empty.
Like he doesn't have a thought until it's time to have a thought.
Sometimes.
How do you time
That's
your thoughts?
crazy. That's
They just
crazy.
happen. That's thoughts. They don't have time. They're not on a schedule.
I know. It's
Doesn't
time
just
for my
have a
2
bunch
o'clock
going all
thought.
at once. Well, Haley's husband told me that his brain works like a to-do list. I'm like, shut the fuck
Ugh.
up, Ryan. Get out of here. Boo.
You're wrong.
I mean,
He's
good
wrong.
for you, but I mean, he's right. But that's a neurotypical right there. Yeah,
Ugh.
we'll get him on. Yeah.
All right, y'all. I gotta
All right,
get back
Tori.
to my beep booping.
Good luck with the beeping and the booping.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining
Yeah,
us. This
thank you
was
for having
lovely.
us.
Yeah.
Thank you
All
for
right,
having me.
last embarrassing
Of
thing
course.
you got to do. You got to caw out. You got to make bird sounds.
Your best bird call.
And I'll fade them out.
My best bird call.
Mhm.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Can I do a chicken?
Please.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, my
Please. That was
Kristen,
so good.
Wasn't
That
that
was so good. That was good. That was professional.
That's the sound they make when they like see you and they think they're gonna get a snack.
Yeah, I almost looked to my backyard. I thought there was a chicken. Yeah.
I'm
You've
honored.
been practicing. Yeah. All right. You like those?
Yeah.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.